Hallelujah. Hallelujah. To give praise to our King. Come on. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yes. I'm going to sit down here.
All right, all right, all right. Ooh, sound good this week? People can hear me? I guess not.
Talking to the online crew.
They online. Can y'all hear me? Y'all were the main ones yelling at me last week.
Sounds good. Sounds good, brother.
All right, all right. That's what I wanted to know.
Confirmation.
Confirmation. All right. So we're just gonna continue the same series we've been talking about loving yourself. The first couple weeks was really about hyping you guys up and getting you from where you were to a place where we'd all be better off, as far as the way we viewed ourselves and how we saw ourselves. All right. Then we're going to transition a little bit from focusing on ourselves to focusing on other things. All right. As always, we got to do the rules. So please raise your hand, ask a question, wait to be called on before you answer, as there are hands raised in the room as well as online. And please keep your questions or comments on track with today's lesson. You'll have 60 seconds to answer the question or make your statement. If you go past 60 seconds, your mic will be muted for you. Remember, it's not personal. It's just to give the teacher enough time to finish a lesson. The lessons are recorded and must be kept within a certain amount of time. All right? All right. So we started off the other week asking, is life happening to you? Or are you happening to life? And the focus of that was that to remind us that we're an active participant in the walk, that no one's dragging you down the path, and to remind us that there is a reward at the end of the journey. And furthermore, to remind us that there is absolutely an adversary actively trying to keep you from achieving that reward. All right, so we want to be intentful, purposeful, and mindful of our actions and the things that we do. All right. So this week, we will have to give an account for how we treated each other. If the adversary can get us to mistreat each other, he will succeed in keeping us from reaching our ultimate goal of making it into the kingdom. So that's what we're going to focus on this week. All right, let's look at 2 Corinthians 10, 5-6. Again, we destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of Elohim, and take every thought captive to obey Yahuah, being ready to punish every disobedience when your obedience is complete. And we will remember what Yahuah knows each of us to be. Now, Amanda, you remember something that Yahuah knows us to be?
Ken, shalom, shalom, Miyka'al, Mishael. Yes, we are the apple of his eye. And
Hey, that's right.
We are important to him. We are.
All right. Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
Oh, yeah. No, hold on.
All right. I was just testing, making sure you was on it. That's all.
Don't mess with me.
Appreciate you. We have somebody in the room that wants to add to the list.
You also say.
Oh, don't count if you don't say in the mic.
Okay, you say we are his workmanship.
Uh-huh.
And we are special.
All right, stop right there. I saw the bot grab a mic. All right, go ahead. Finish the rest of the list for me. Yeah, go ahead.
We are his treasure possession. And we are the one that he has personal value for.
All right, and I spelled possession right this week. All right. Well, close, better not spell it last week. All right, so you are the apple of his eye. You are vitally important to him. You are his workmanship. You are special. You are his treasured possession, and you are one that he has personal value for. That applies to each of you, right? So that's how you should see yourselves. Anything less than that, you want to fight against those thoughts, right? All right, so Yahuah knows that we are all of those things to him. Now that we've discussed it, it should be easier for us to recognize these things about ourselves. Is that a true statement for most of us? All right, good. But we have to remember that we are also to recognize those things about each other as well and treat each other accordingly. And trust that if we see it in others, they will see it in us as well and treat us accordingly. So part of loving yourself is allowing others to love you, right? So if I see myself as the apple of the eye, when I'm dealing with you, I should recognize that you are also the apple of his eye. And that's how I should go about treating you. Make sense? Makes sense, right? All right, 1 Corinthians 3:16. Do you not know that you are Yahuwah's temple and that Yahuwah's Ruach dwells in you? If anyone destroys Yahuwah's temple, Yahuwah will destroy him, for Yahuwah's temple is set apart, and you are that temple. Anyone disagree with that statement? Those statements? Everyone agree? All right. All right. So, beloved, do not believe every ruach, but test them to see whether they are from Yahuwah, for many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you know the ruach is of Yahuwah. Every ruach that confesses that Yahushua Mashiach has come in the flesh is from Yahuwah. And every ruach that does not confess Yahushua is not from Yahuwah. This is the ruach of the anti-Mashiach, which you heard was coming and now is in the world already. Little children, you are from Yahuwah and have overcome them, for he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are from the world, therefore they speak from the world, and the world listens to them. We are from Yahuwah. Whoever knows Yahuwah listens to us. Whoever is not from Yahuwah does not listen to us. By this we know the ruach of truth and the ruach of error. So, we're going to go to something that we've all seen 1,000 times. Greater is in you than he who is in the world. Somebody break that down and tell me what that means to them. Either in line or in the room. Either way is fine. Now, Mana, go ahead.
Shalom. Greater is the Ruach of Hamashiach, excuse me, that lives in me than the evil one that lives in the world. Because Hamashiach Yahushua has overcome the world.
Okay. Somebody in the room. Good answer. Somebody in the room, tell me what that means, that greater is he that is in you. What's this he that is in you? Hold on. It's way too many people in here that don't know the answer to that question.
It's the Ruach that's in you, then he's that's in the world.
What Ruach? Any Ruach?
No, the Father Ruach.
The Father's Ruach. Okay. So it just co-signs what the other slide said, right? That he dwells in us. We are his dwelling place, right? Be mindful of that when you're treating each other. All right? So do we believe that the Ruach dwells in us? About 3 of us do. All right, some more voices. So, is the Ruach also dwelling in your brother and sister? That was like one and a half people.
Nah, I can't count for everybody.
Well, your brother and sister in the truth. I use brother and sister on purpose. Okay, my brother and sister are who the Mashiach says they are, right? Not just my fleshly brother, right? All right, so if that's the case, is your brother or sister in the truth, is the Ruach in them as well? There you go. So when we treat each other a certain way, do we see it as treating Yahuwah that same way? Well, I did that to Mishael, but that ain't nothing to do with Yahuwah.
Only.
Okay, we got a hand raised?
You're supposed to treat them righteous. If they present themselves not in the word, then something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, which Ruach are we listening to? One that puffs us up or one that causes us to be contrite? Again, we're talking about as we deal with each other, right? Which Ruach are we listening to? A certain way. I just want you to know that.
That's why I can do with you like I do.
Exactly. All right. So Psalms 51:17 out of the ESV. The sacrifices of Yahuwah are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O Yahuwah, you will not despise. So when we come to Yahuwah, we are to come with a contrite heart. Deka, crush or be crushed. Contrite, in other words, have an attitude of penitence or humility. feeling or expressing pain or sorrow for sins or offenses. It's not just pain or sorrow because you're in a bad mood. You're feeling guilt and pain for something that you did. You're acknowledging that you are at fault. That's what it means to be contrite, right? So when we approach Yahuah, we're supposed to be contrite. Now, if Yahuah lives in your brother and sister, when you approach your brother and sister, you're also to be contrite. I love it. I'm going to sit down now. All right, getting right with one another. We all know where I'm going with this one, right? Somebody take a guess what verse about to come up next. No, you don't spoke too much. Somebody else. Go ahead, Nabat.
So the scripture that says that don't hold a grudge against your brother. And another one where if it's an issue with your brother, you go to him to make things right. And then if you don't listen, you bring a witness.
Okay, making
so on
things
and so
right,
forth.
right? Mishael's typing. Is he Googling? What's he doing over there? Yahuah can say, what you got? Oh, speaking of Google.
That's crazy.
I miss you. I miss you.
I don't miss y'all too. Is it confess your sins to one another?
It is not, but those are all correct.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, crazy echo.
So I wanted to bring out also Matthew 5:23 and 24. If then you bring your gift to the slaughter place or altar, and they remember that your brother holds whatever against you, leave your gift there before the slaughter place or altar, and go first make peace with your brother, and then come offer your gift.
All right. All of you said Now, it's safe to say that everybody that gave a verse basically said the same thing, right? They just didn't choose the exact one I chose. Except for Mishael. But it's the same track, right? So if you have an issue, go make it right with your brother, right? Now. Mm-hmm. Right.
You know your brother mad at you.
Yes, your room started to say something, but it didn't count because he wasn't in the mic.
You heard me in the back of the room. Okay. I say, it says, remember that, if you remember that your brother has something against you, right? Y'all didn't get it right at the time he made it known that there was a problem. There was an issue. They made it known, and you said, I'll think about it. You know, and then you walked away from it, but then you remember, yeah, I never did get that right with him. Or we didn't really resolve the issue. Now I got to go back. I want to present my gift before the Father, but I need to leave this here, and then I need to go and reconcile with my brother and make sure that, hey, I heard you. I'm sorry for taking so long. You know, maybe you needed to process, and now you need to just make sure that they're right with you. Because you didn't really have something against them, but they had something against you. Yeah.
All right, let's stay there for a minute. Now, remember that you're not just trying to reconcile with your brother just so your gift will be accepted.
Yes, I am.
No. You don't want to do that. That is a terrible reason to do that. Do you not think the Most High is going to know the motive behind you doing that? Exactly. So, in addition to that, let's go to your first part, where you knew that something your brother did to you didn't quite sit well with you, right? But you didn't address it. What might cause you not to just address it in a moment, or to let it linger? Yeah, I'm going on what you said. Yeah.
What might have not allowed me to address it immediately? Pride.
So pride. Okay.
My pride, anger.
Anger.
You know, mostly it's I don't want to have to deal with it. You know, I'm just gonna try to forget about it. You know, walk away from it. But at the same time, that person still is upset with me. That doesn't change. You know, because I forget about it. They ain't forgot about it because they treat me funny.
Right. There's two people involved in the party, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really help if only one side gets right, or
Yeah.
one side's feeling good about the issue.
I got to sleep on the couch, and she got, you know, gotta go make it right.
You can sleep under the covers. I'm sleeping on top of the cover, but I'm being in bed.
Check.
That couch is lumpy, man.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Now, You're trying to get it right with your brother.
Uh-huh.
You go to him,
Mhm.
and he does not. You take it to some other witnesses, still does not.
Mhm.
You continue to try, does not. How long do you take before you say forget it?
Oh, you have.
Oh, no. Okay. You know the brother has something against you. You went to go and get it right, and the brother still wants to hold a grudge.
Mhm.
Well, then you've done your part. You've done your part. They still want to hold a grudge. That's on them.
So even if you bring it to witnesses and they still holding a grudge.
Yeah. Well, see, the witness part is if somebody did something, committed a sin, they don't realize it is a sin, or they disagree that it is a sin.
Mhm.
Now the scripture says it's a sin, and they were like, "Well, I don't see it that way." Well, then that's when you got to take it a little bit further. Oh, come on, they're not agreeing with me or agreeing with the scriptures in this matter. And then that's from that point. But if this is something that your brother has something against you because, you didn't like his mashed potatoes, for fellowship, so now he, feels some kind of way about you. And you say, brother, I'm sorry. I just don't like my mashed potatoes extra salty,
Say it tastes like wood.
And, he said, well, whatever.
I got the reference.
Yeah.
Now,
And
now
a real life
remember,
example.
you can't. I see you, sis. I'll come to you in a second. You can't make somebody do anything, right? You're not in charge of anyone else. What you're in charge of is you. Now, when you be mindful that when we say, okay, I tried, I'm going to leave it alone, are you actually leaving it alone? It's easy. How many times we say, I'm going to leave it alone, but it's still bothering you. It's still in there. You said you left it alone, which means you're not going to try no more, but you ain't really leave it alone. It's still eating you up inside. That's the spot you don't want to. As long as it's bothering you, you're not over it. You can't leave it there. You can choose to actually leave it there and say, I'm done with it. I won't let it bother me anymore. But you gotta be careful. That's why I said this is active participation. That thing could be festering under there and you just leave it alone and don't address it. It's not good. Not Tob at all. Now, again, you may want to use wisdom and judgment and timing. I'm gonna let it go for a little while. They're not ready to talk about it right now. But if it's still bothering you, you're gonna have to at some point go back and address it.
Okay, can I ask it? Okay, you went several times back and forth, you prayed on it, you did everything you were supposed to do, and you go back again. After a while, can we use where Yahushua says that if they don't receive you, dust you and go on?
Right, dust your feet off. But again, just be mindful that have you truly dusted your feet off? You go through the physical motion. You dusted all your feet off, like the word said, but you still carried it with you when you walked away. Can't do that. Can't do that. All right? As long as you do it the correct way, like you're presenting it, no problem with that. All right? See, how I'm gonna get off the slide when you keep saying something? You keep adding examples. He just gave an example of that attitude where you're like, it just irks me every time I see that guy. As long as it's irking you every time you see him, you can't give up on it. You got to keep working on it, trying to resolve that. All right. So to get things right and to be on one accord with each other, there's other things that we need, but today we're going to talk about humility, trust, and transparency. We're going to need those three things when we're dealing with each other. How many of us have a hard time saying that we were wrong? Some of y'all lying. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I didn't say those that said no were lying. Those that said nothing, some of y'all lying. One hand in a room full of 20 people? Come on, man. The math ain't mathing. That's all I'm saying. All right. So someone else other than the one person who raised their hand has an issue saying they were wrong. And one of these three things at the top of the list was the reason why they didn't raise their hand. Either lack of humility, lack of trust, or lack of transparency. Go ahead, Keith. It may be only one other person, but that one person that knows that there's an issue and did not raise their hand, It probably fell in one of them three categories. Yes.
Shalom, Aki. It depends on what the situation is.
Okay. Yeah. No, you got to add that one. Add that one into the microphone. He's about to give us an example.
Well, you don't want everybody to know your business. You know, I don't want to be transparent.
Nope. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? How many have a difficult time taking blame for something? I didn't, but I wouldn't have done that, but they made me, it was their fault. It was, no, just.
You asking taking blame for something somebody else did or something we did?
No, something you did.
Okay, cool.
You know, somebody approaches you and says, hey, I felt a certain type of way when you did this, and you just won't cop to doing it. Anybody get an apology? I think this is the worst apology. I'm sorry, but you made me. Anything but, just leave it. Don't even bother. Just, if you have difficulty taking blame and you never want to own up to your part of the situation, it's probably due to a lack of humility, a lack of trust, or a lack of transparency. Go ahead, Kanisha.
Tora, I have a question. So it seems like, from what I'm hearing in the teachings, that you're teaching us how to be accountable. Are we going to have instructions also on how to, when the recipient that is receiving, like the ones that, you know, like, okay, if someone comes to me, like, how do I process that in time? How do I, you know what I mean? Because like when you open that, you know, some things can't be resolved in a moment. You gotta have time to process it as well. So, yeah, so I'm wondering if the teachings will show that as well, like for the ones receiving the correction.
Well, this is actually focusing on individual accountability. So are you giving the correction or are you receiving it? And some things do need to be just accepted in the moment. Some things do take time. It depends on the situation. Now, I'm not saying every single issue that we're working with, the things that we're trying to resolve, the issues that we have in our heart, oh, well, I saw the lesson, I'm done with it 2 days later. Some things will take time. But be mindful, you do not know how much time you have. The quicker, the better. We keep saying, oh, tomorrow. We don't know how many tomorrows we have. The only one that knows that is the one that made us. And I personally would not want to fall short thinking I have more time. Because again, the key word in all these lessons is active. You actively have to take control. You have to take ownership of it. And you have to do your part. I can't fix somebody else. You can't fix somebody else. All you can fix and control is yourself. And it's not an easy process. It's not a soft process. There are going to be moments you're angry. There's going to be moments where you're crying. There's going to be moments you're crying out. But remember, when you're crying, who's seeing your tears? Who's wiping those tears? When you're crying out, who are you crying out to? You're crying out to the Most High. He's going to help you through it. But if you just try to push it off, sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, not you, Kanisha, personally, I'm just saying anyone listening, the more we try to sweep it under the rug and walk away from it, the more damage we're doing to ourselves. The more damage we're doing to ourselves.
That's good. Tora.
No problem, no problem. I see half a hand in the back. Okay. All right. So, again, both of these can be caused by lack of humility, lack of trust, or lack of transparency. But remember, if we approach our Akim Akio with this mindset, this lack of trust, this lack of transparency, lack of humility, who are we actually showing a lack of trust in? Who are we actively showing a lack of humility towards? Who are we showing a lack of transparency towards? They're saying in the room. Matter of fact, say in the microphone. I almost let both of y'all slide. Just a second, sis.
I said the Father's ways because he's the one that gave the instructions to do this, his particular way.
That sounded low in the room. Did they hear that online?
The father's ways, because you're actually showing disrespect to the father because it's his instructions.
Hmm? Absolutely. Go ahead, Aki, what were you going to say?
Actually, I was saying the same thing. The father.
Yep. Now, Mana, go ahead.
I concur.
Okay, Toda.
This is just something personal that I think of. Like if someone, I would say is a difficult person or something like that, I'll love that person like through the father. Like the father's image is here. I'm loving them through whatever the father tells me to do. I kind of put it in my mind like that.
Mhm.
So, and I yell.
Yes, there's going to be some people in your life that you deal with that you're going to, again, actively have to see the father in them because they're not going to show them. So you got to go looking for it. Let's just be real. That's just how it is when you deal with people. You just have to go, yes. Everybody's on a different part of this journey, you know? Some people just got dipped, loving where they at, right? Some people got dipped 2 weeks ago and they still trying to figure this out, right? But again, we were all at that point, right? We can't be so high-minded that we forget when we were in their shoes, right? All right. So trust in Yahuah with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes, fear Yahuah and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Which verse gives us permission to lack humility, trust, or transparency? Which of those verses told us we can do that? None of them, right? Oh, okay, all right. Just checking. Everybody's awake. So which verse encourages us to trust, to be humble, or be transparent? What was that? Okay, so we see trust in Yahuah with all your heart, right? Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, right? Be not wise in your own eyes, but fear Yahuah and turn away from evil. Would it say that a lack of humility would be evil? Would it say just trying to keep a little bit of info to yourself, not tell the whole truth? Would that be an evil thing to do? So you probably should turn away from it, right? All right.
Wouldn't that also be called pride?
Yes.
And that's one of the greatest sins, right?
It definitely would be pride. Something that Yah hates, pride. All right, so again, trust in you with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding, right? So when you approach your brother or sister to get right with them, you have to trust the Yahuah that's in them. Do not be afraid to bare your heart. Because who are you actually afraid of at that point? Don't be wise in your own eyes. Falling back, remember what others had done to you in the past, right? That's a fear of man. They hurt. Last time I opened up, somebody hurt me. Last time I did this, this happened. You're fearing what happened in the past. You're fearing what man did to you, what some sister did to you. But who are you supposed to fear? You're supposed to be afraid of Yahuah and disappointing him, not what this person can say or do to you, right? Now, I always use this example, like if I punched Yesharoon in his arm, right? Say we're just playing around. He's playing around, right? Hey, bro, I ain't seen you in a long time no see, and I punch you in the arm, right? I can't be mad at him if he says, man, you hit me pretty hard, it hurt, right? It wasn't my intent, but I can't say, no, I didn't. It's his arm, right? He has the right to acknowledge how it felt to him. But if he decides to just haul off and punch me with all his might back in my face, I can say, I think you overreacted to that. So I can't fault people for their initial reaction to the way that I approach them, things I say to them. Same thing we can. You can't be mad at him because he took it a certain way, but you can't be mad at how he reacts, right? So never begrudge somebody how they feel when you approach them and say things to them. You don't have the right to do that to people.
All I was gonna say is, my arm might have been hurting already.
Yeah, arm might be hurting. I didn't even know that already, right?
Then you hit it,
right?
And I'm like, what the?
Yeah, yeah.
And bop!
All right. So wisdom tells us in verse 8 that if we do this, that it might be healing and refreshing. Oh, he's promised it to us, right? Okay. So if we just do it his way, it'll work in our favor, right? So that's probably the mindset that we should have when we approach these situations, that it's not about me. It's not even about the person I'm dealing with. I'm trusting Yahuah that I'm going in with an open heart. I'm going to bear it all. I'm going to be transparent, and he's going to work it out. My trust is in Yahuah. O my El, in you I trust. Let me not be put to shame. Let not my enemies exalt over me. Indeed, none who wait for you shall be put to shame. They shall be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous, right? Is that something that we fear when we're approaching people? I don't want to admit that I was wrong because, they'll just exalt it over me. They're never going to let me hear the end of this. These are things we say to ourselves, right, that prevent us from doing the right thing. But it shouldn't be that way. Because, again, we're trusting in Yahuah that he's going to make the situation go the right way. So put your trust in Yahuah, knowing that if by any chance the person you are coming to is not genuine, then Yahuah will handle it, right? It's not your battle. It's not on you on how the other person reacts. You are only responsible for you. So look at Proverbs 24:12. If you say, behold, we did not know this, does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who keeps watch over your soul know it? And will he not repay man according to his work? So you don't have to worry about whether the person you're approaching is on the up and up. Yahuah knows that person's heart. He's in the midst of the situation. And you don't have to worry about getting vengeance for yourself. Yahuah's going to repay that person. Because again, when I approach my aunt and I say, hey man, we got this going on. Something's not quite right between us. Meet me at XYZ place, XYZ time, and let's hash it out. I'm trusting that he's coming with the same heart. But if his heart's not the same page, Yahuah knows that before I even get my car to head over there. So he's going to handle that. All I can control is, am I genuine when I head over there to have the conversation? I will not ask you to put that in. Humility. Let's look at humility. We talked about trust, right? So who's our trust in these situations? We're trusting Yahuah, and we're trusting the Yahuah that's in that person that we're approaching. So when I see that person, I approach that person. I'm not approaching them. I'm trusting the Yahuah that's in them. Again, I see the look on your face. We're talking about those that are likewise believers. When we're dealing with non-believers, it'll be something different. You got to tell me what you're thinking, because the face is too much. In the microphone. If y'all can see the face the sister just made at me.
Why I said it, because you were afraid that everyone is in Yahuah, everyone is not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's why.
That's a legit something you should be worried about. But again, it's okay to worry. It's okay to fear. But who am I fearing? I fear no man. I fear Yahuah. I trust in Yahuah that, you know what, if this goes sideways, hey, it's on that person. It ain't on me. He's got my back. Go ahead, Aki.
Yeah, I think that's why you're saying trust the Yahuah in them. Mm-hmm. Because, at the end of the day, you don't know how they're going to respond, but you're doing what you're doing for Yahuah and his will. And at the end of the day, like you were saying, that's on you. So I can't hold myself accountable for how you decide to handle it.
I mean, just think about it, like, logically, right? My righteousness is a filthy rags. There's nothing about me that wants to be dealing with any of this and admitting my faults. The other person feeling the same way, right? There's nothing about them unless they just got that gift. So you got to trust that when you're dealing with them, you're dealing with the Ruach in them and the righteous Ruach from Yahuah. Because none of our flesh wants to do with this stuff. And we shouldn't be operating with each other in our flesh to flesh. It's never going to work. Now, Amana, go ahead.
Shalom, Aki. But what if you're out in the world, doing your, things that you have to do out in the world, and you're not dealing with, people that are not in the walk, they're not in the flesh, so they don't have the Ruach upon them. But even though we are walking in the Ruach, we still have to deal with these people that have like a bad Ruach in them. And that can be difficult sometimes. And I yield.
It can be difficult if we let it be difficult. Because again, who am I in charge of?
Hallelujah.
I have to let what somebody says to me bother me. I don't have to let what they do affect me. I choose to give in to that.
Hallelujah.
Like, just brush it off. Like, okay, I had to deal some business. The cashier was rude. The person that was supposed to be helping me out didn't help me out. I don't have to let that hurt my feelings. Now, again, my initial reaction, I might be a little upset, but I don't have to stay there. That is 1,000% up to me. I don't know how many times I got to say it. It is up to you. It's not hard. It's not easy. I didn't promise you easy. I promise you it's up to you.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like I know that it's not easy. I mean, even though we leave the house with the full armor on, I'm just saying that whole thing is difficult. And that's, I guess what I'm saying is, Ike, is just being on guard with what we have to deal with on the world, and remembering that we can overcome all things because the Ruach of Hamashiach Yahuah is in us. Not you. Absolutely.
If you try to get through your day depending solely on yourself, it ain't gonna work. It is not gonna work. Nabat Dem Dawood.
Yeah. So I think that the more we dwell and meditate on Yahuah and His word and His goodness and His favor and what He's done for us, what other people do, it really don't bother us as much because, like back in the day, I'm sure y'all grandmother done told you I'm too blessed to be stressed, right? I'm too legit to quit and all this. But, at the end of the day, when you filled with His word, when you filled with His goodness, certain things just don't bother you, like normal, because you feel good in your heart.
Now, some of us will get to a place that our initial reaction is always going to be that. Some of us will have an initial reaction where they tick this off, right? But again, the initial reaction is not what I'm talking about. How do I deal with that initial reaction? Do I stay there? Do I find a verse to meditate on? Do I put a song on when I get in the car? Or do I choose to let this 9 o'clock appointment steer the rest of my day? It's up to me. All right, we got somebody online. We'll come to you out. Maury Dawu, go ahead.
Shalom, everyone. It's cool to hear this being taught on, because it's like it's twofold. A lot of time, believer, we have to get to a level and a place that we respect one another to hear correction. A lot of times in congregations, whether small or large, we don't think we can be corrected only by leadership. We don't look to the person to the left or the right of us to be used for that, and that can become an issue. If leadership would teach everybody's in a place of correction, even leadership, you could kill some of that attitude. Now, we're dealing with the people in the world. We have to mature and get to a level where we learn to hold our peace and let the Most High fight our battles. And a lot of times the way you get to that is you have to take time through the course of time you wake up in the morning, even at night, to meditate and think on the good things of the Most High. So when you are out and about in the world and the situation rises up against you, you can either decide to hold your peace and I'm gonna let the Father fight this battle.
Absolutely, Aki. Now, remember, we're talking about dealing with each other, right? So I'll give an example, like an old school example, right? I'm a man of a certain age. And back in my day, if anybody in the neighborhood saw me cutting up, they had the right to correct me, right? And they was gonna tell my mama and she's gonna correct me again. It's the same thing amongst us. Like if you see your mishpachah doing something they shouldn't or going down the path, you're responsible for them. It doesn't have to be a moray. And when they mention something to you, they should do it out of love, out of compassion. They shouldn't just try to put you on blast on Front Street. And if they do it in a loving way, you should accept it. Absolutely, Aki. You should accept it. But my ADD's kicking in. I got moving.
Initially, I thought you was continue on, but I had a precept for Ecclesiastes chapter 26. It's dealing with our sisters or whatnot to keep going with humility. But I just read as far as how I deal with people outside the covenant. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 26, verse 11. And it says, watch over an impudent eye and marvel not if she trespass against thee. So the people that I look at outside the covenant, I know they're not keeping the commandments, but I'm not worrying about them, but I keep my eyes on them. If they trespass against me, I won't be surprised. But far as my brothers and sisters around me, they Ruach would let me know of how to deal with them. So that's what I meant by a long time ago. How their energy, however they come with their energy, that's how I'm gonna carry them.
You know what? I like that point you first started with. And I hadn't thought of it until you said it. So if I know that I'm out in the world dealing with worldly people, should almost expect them to be a certain way. So when they do, I probably shouldn't be surprised or upset. I didn't even think about that when Naaman was telling stories. It never crossed me. But again, you should expect something different amongst each other, right? And again, this goes back to that first point when Yeshurun was talking about. We got to hold each other accountable, right? So if somebody's doing something the wrong way, or they're unapproachable, or they're approaching you sideways, you probably shouldn't let it slide. You should say something to them. Otherwise, they're going to keep doing it to other people. You just can't let it go unchecked. It ain't everybody. Nobody's above getting checked, as long as you do it the correct way, right?
I'm just blunt.
Hey, you looking at the picture of it in the dictionary. Let me hit this next slide and keep it moving. All right, so humility. Humility allows us to accept correction, hear the other person out, and empathize without being defensive. Think we got somebody in the room that wants to testify? Without being defensive, yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's one of the biggest things that gets in the way when people try to work things out. People want to get defensive. It allows us to put our guards down and just be in the moment. Be in that moment. How is that person treating you? Don't worry about, well, last time I did this person did this to me, or when I said that happened to Pat. Don't worry about none of that. Be humble and stay in the moment and put your guard down. And just deal with how that person's coming at you. And that's how you deal with each other. Not bringing up old past hurts and things. And what they say, you're bleeding on people that didn't cut you, right? They didn't do nothing to you, but you're taking it out on them.
So I just wanted to share something.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, this mic actually a little bit too hot. But I just wanted to share a verse that I think resonates with what you're sharing here. Psalms 116, verse 6. It says, Yahuah preserveth or guards the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. So what I want to share, I think, from this is that that word for simple is petit, which actually comes from the root which means patach, which or open. Someone that's open, if you will, like like you said, not having their guard down, or having their guard down rather. So, and then what I think this shows too is that when we're brought low, when we're lowly or humble, then Yahuah is the one who guards us and protects us and preserves us. I yield.
Absolutely. Philippians 2, 3-4. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. So when you're approaching your neighbor, your brother, your sister, trying to get it right, what's the purpose you going there? Is it for your own selfishness? Or are you mindful of the person involved in the situation, right? You're going just to let them have it, right? But is that what we're supposed to do? No, we're not supposed to go there just to do that. Now, in the course of, and matter of fact, when I first met Caleb, I don't think Caleb liked me very much. Now, I'm gonna tell you why. And yesterday we made a comment off the mic about bluntness, and that was where I said I'm the definition. So Aki had this thing he was working on, and he kept telling me why he wasn't doing it or why he wasn't doing it, and I wasn't hearing it. I want no parts of it. You're gonna do this thing now. I don't want to hear nothing. And I was just blunt and direct with him. But he didn't know me. Like, he knew me like 2 weeks, right, Mike? You probably should have slowed down a little bit before you started fussing at him, right? But I was doing it to encourage him, to spur him on, to coach him up, to get him out of it. He didn't know where my leg was when I was delivering the message, right? So we got to be mindful of it. Sometimes you do have to just be blunt, be direct, let them know. And the other person, that's where they have to put the trust in it. They have to trust that this is how Yahuah needs us to be. And he or she is coming at me from a good place, right? Don't get defensive. Just hear it out. Because that person might be telling you the truth. He or she just may not do it the way you like hearing it. That doesn't mean that what they're saying is wrong, right? And then be careful that there's two people involved in the situation. Like, you're trying to do it to get it off your chest, but also to uplift and help that other person, right? It's not all about you in the situations. Who's first? Sienna, go first, please.
Yes, and I'm going to add to that, but in a different way. I just wanted to say, I was the same way, and sisters were treating me wrong. Not that that's a point today. That doesn't matter, but sometimes we don't know, like, people's level of maturity in this walk. And what was my point? So when I heard the sister say earlier, some people don't have, Yahuah in them. You're right. We cannot focus on that part. And sometimes we can cause other brothers and sisters to we can cause other brothers and sisters to leave the truth because of our initial attitudes. So I'm just saying, and I'm not coming from anybody in particular, I'm just giving a perspective to consider. Sometimes we have to maybe slow down, maybe the way we vet people or our attitudes toward them. We should always just look at it like, all right, if this person is here in this place with me, then they know about the truth. They want to know more about the good news. Let me know.
All right. Yeah, Toda. And one thing that we're supposed to be mindful of, right? That this is a path, this is a journey, right? So say that you approach somebody, right? And you say what you had to say, and you think you're on a good path. You should follow up with that person, right? You shouldn't just leave it there and never check on them again. We got to check on each other. Then you had your issue, you dealt with it, you thought they received it, they didn't. A year later, you found out they're not even in the truth no more. Key part being a year later. Like, you ain't check on this person. You never thought the fellowship and reach out with them anymore. You just left them out there. You got it off your chest. You good, and just walked away from that person. Not a good thing to do. And then yes, you're gonna have his hand on the microphone. He was gonna say something. Told off, Kanisha.
No, Sienna.
I'm sorry, Sienna.
Yeah. So I agree, because I say, if you're here, if you're online, if you're in the room, if we're here together and we're listening to the same messages, we're seeking the same, you want the same thing as I want. Mm-hmm. You're seeking out the same thing I want. So we have to give that benefit of the doubt, right? So if you come at me a certain way, I just have to take it as, okay, I got to learn this person. They don't know me very well, and if I allow myself, I could get out of character, but I'm going to just hear them out and take it on and say, well, I hear you, and then if I can be honest, like you say, hey, I didn't really like the way you approached me, and I had to deal with myself before I can answer you. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't appreciate that. But that was a me problem. That wasn't a you problem. You know, so then I can say, I've overcome that and I'm confessing this to you, but I heard what you said and you were right. You know, and I appreciate you, you know, coming at me, but I want to let you know that, you know what I'm saying? Because the person might not know that they were just, you know, overly aggressive in their approach. So, but we're here together. We want the same thing.
Hello, yeah, Toda. Naman, go ahead.
Shalom, Aki. I was just thinking about this, and this is just like along the lines of constructive criticism. So we have to be gentle and kind in how we approach each other with correction, because everyone is on a different level spiritually. So we can't just be rash and cruel and unthinking. We have to maintain self-control in how we are approaching each other when we're like correcting each other. And I yield.
Toda, absolutely. We got a hand in the back. We got a hand in the room, Moray, Dawood, then I'll come to you.
I just wanted to agree with Moray Yasharon, because personally, that's something I kind of do when someone gives me criticism, whether constructive or just blatant criticism that's constructive. I am known to be like, listen to it, and I'll go back and forth. I'll easily do it. So that's something that I have to learn how to stop doing, because what eventually happens is, like I tell people all the time, you know, if you don't agree with the information, just take it and file it away, like just mentally file it. And that's what I'll do. Sometimes I'll think on things and think on things and think on conversations, and then all of a sudden, oh, I think I got it. And I'll go back to that person. I'll let them know, because for me, if you tell me something, I can't repeat it to you, I don't understand it. If I can repeat it and I can give an example, I can give an example in a life or something like that, then humility tells me then I need to just go ahead and turn the mic off.
But part of that humility, right, is also when you're dealing with a person, let them know. Let them know that's how you are. Be vulnerable to them. Say, hey, I didn't quite get that. The way you know it, ask me to repeat it. And then you'll know that I got it, right? But if you know that about yourself, but you never share it with the person you're dealing with, that you're trying to communicate with, how would they know, right? Good.
Zan, I also want to add, and sometimes the person is not overly aggressive. The pride will kill it. Some people just do not want to hear the delivery, no matter how kind or patient.
That is true. That is true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead. Hope. Okay.
We have to always remember that we have to be mindful of the fruit of the Spirit, how you go towards your brother and your sister. Remember the fruit of the Spirit.
Hello, yeah. Moray Dawood.
Yeah, we should be also mindful not to be so emotional. A lot of times we got to take our emotions out of it and be more logical, you know. And I just like to give key words for food for thought. Sometimes when you go into your brother and sister, you can literally just tell them, I'm not here to trifle with your feelings, and I'm respectfully, you know, letting you know this. You know, it's just wording, and, you know, and tone of voice, body language, it's all communication. And if you learn how to communicate better and effectively, people will be more open to receive what you have to say.
Hello, yeah. All right, let's take a look at Micah 6:6-8. With what shall I come before Yahuah and bow myself before Yahuah on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will Yahuah be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does Yahuah require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your El? Remember, we are the representation of Yahuah in the earth. We walk with him when we walk with each other. As we are to walk humbly with him, we are also to walk humbly with each other, right? So when you're walking with him, yeah, he has his presence here, right? but we also represent him. So this isn't just about our one-on-one relationship with him. It's our relationship with all those representatives of him that he has us deal with every day and that he has us deal with in the assembly, right? So it just echoes the same sentiment that when you see that person, see the Yahuah in them. We are his representatives in the earth. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but be associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no one for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of Elohim. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahuah. All right, everybody's read that before, right? We all agree with that? That's wise writings right there. All right. So let's look at the don't be haughty and don't be wise in your own sight. So be humble and don't be wise in your own sight. Don't approach matters with a preconceived notion about what a person will say or do. That's your own sight. Oh, no, as soon as I say this, they're going to say that. As soon as I say this, they're going to say that. And that's what they're going to say, and that's how they're going to take it. You might as well not even have the conversation. Go in with a clean slate on your side, and give them a clean slate. When you've already decided how it's going to be wise in your own sight, now's not the time to have that conversation. Also, don't approach matters with a preconceived notion about what you're going to do when they say those things. They're going to say, as soon as they say this, I can't wait because I'm going to do this, right? You wise in your own sight, right? So one, you don't have to worry about what you're going to do, because even if they are out of character, who does the vengeance belong to? Who's supposed to take care of it if they act out of pocket? You're who's supposed to do it, right? So the only thing you should be worried about is that if they say this, I know it's going to lead me to this verse of so says Yahuah. That's it. All right, let's talk a little bit about transparency. All right, in this letter, Ephesians 4:22. Put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life, and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the ruach of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of Elohim in true righteousness and set apartness. Therefore, having put away falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. So put down your walls. Keep it real with one another. No imitations. Don't try to be somebody you're not. No fakeness. No false pride. Be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to tell the whole story, even the parts that make you look less than perfect. And stop deflecting, right? So don't be deceitful. Well, I'm going to tell them this part, but I ain't going to tell them everything, right? That's deceitful. Shouldn't do that. We're going to get to that one. All right. So put on your new self, right? Put away falsehood, right? So again, it's not about what you used to do and all the terrible conversations you had when you were in the belief. That's all gone. You're in the belief now, so you got to behave differently, right? So put away falsehood. Stop trying to tell half the story, leave out certain details, right? Just to make yourself look good. So especially when you have to bring it to your neighbors and there's more than just you and that person involved, and you trying to leave everything else going to make you look bad, so you can try to sway the judgment so it goes your way. Oh, don't do that at all. Don't do that at all. Speak the truth with your neighbor. Be truthful. Let it all out. Go ahead.
When I first came into the walk, you could ask all my sisters, when something is said and it's not right, you saw it all over my face.
I'm the same way. That's why I don't play poker.
It just sit right in my face. They say, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I would just go ahead and tell them what's on my mind. Have I improved, y'all?
Okay, she has improved. They have confirmed, right? All right. So be transparency. Don't be an imitator. Don't try to be somebody that you're not, right? Be yourself. Be true to who you are. Just checking. All right. This is a long one. First Kings, right? Again, Yahuah appeared to Shlomo in a dream by night. And Yahuah said, ask what I shall give you. And Shlomo said, you have shown great and steadfast love to your servant, Dawood, my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness and righteousness and an upright of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne this day. And now, O Yahuah Miyka'al, you have made me your servant king in place of Dawood, my father, although I am but a little child. I do not know how to go out or how to come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. Who was able to govern this your great people? And it pleased Yahuah that Shlomo had asked this. And Yahuah said to him, because you have asked this and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall rise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days. All right, let's look at that first part. All right. Ask what I shall give you. He says, you show great steadfastness and love to your servant Dawood. In verse 7, he says, and now, O Yahuah Miyka'al, you have made your servant the king in place of Dawood, my father, although I am but a little child. I do not know how to go out or how to come in. And your servant is the midst of your people with whom you have chosen, a great people too many to be numbered or counted. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that I might discern between good and evil, for who is able to govern this, your great people? I see some contemplating faces. What comes to mind when you see verses 5 through 9? Now, Monica, go ahead.
I see extreme humility in a child just being extremely transparent to the father. He's just bearing out his heart to him, and he's asking for wisdom and guidance, showing extreme transparency, and he's just very humble and showing humility to the father, willing to do his will, and just not wanting anything for himself.
Okay, Toda. Yeah, just what's on the screen, the first half of that verse. You squinting?
I'm just looking at verse 9,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just looking at like keywords.
Yep.
Understanding mind, govern your people, discernment, good and evil, then govern again, and then a great people. So if I want to like bring it all together with the lesson, that we would have an understanding mind, not necessarily to govern the people, but to interact with each other, to be able to discern good and evil, maybe in the assembly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a good point. You definitely, when you're dealing with each other, you definitely want discernment, right? Some people you can approach a certain way, some people can approach a different way. Caleb has a hand up.
Well, what I get from it is humility, but I get him having the humility to say, yeah, I know you put me in this position, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of co-sign on that. What sticks out to me when I see this is that, you know, he's giving them freedom to ask him, inquire of Yahuah. And the first thing he does is acknowledge Yahuah first, you know. So I think that's what sticks out most to me. He acknowledges the goodness and the love of Yahuah before even asking anything. So
Good. That's a level of humility, absolutely. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, he acknowledges, you know, the land back over there. He acknowledges the greatness of Yahuah because, you know, he's showing how Yahuah responds to people who responds to him with faithfulness, with righteousness. And he's saying, you know, and then he's even esteeming Yahuah by esteeming his people. He said that who can rule this great people of yours? So because he esteemed Yahuah so much, he don't want to let him down because he knows his people is the apple of his eye.
Mhm.
So he wants to handle that with care. He wants to handle that correctly because that's the apple of his eye, and he esteems Yahuah that much. So
Okay.
I understand that.
Absolutely. Everybody's giving great answers so far.
I'm gonna land back off of everybody.
Land back off the land back.
Yeah. He acknowledged that he did not know anything. So he lowered himself, he humbled himself. And in that, the Father gave him favor by saying the things that you did not even ask for, I'm going to give you that along with the wisdom that you've asked for. So in his acknowledgement of saying, I don't know what I'm doing, the Father lifted him.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dawood, what you got? All children.
For him to be a prince and for him to grow up in the kingdom and grow up on watching his father do it, he's not showing any entitlement. You know, his name.
Lior?
I wanted to also land back off of Shamaya, like her viewpoint that she mentioned earlier on this particular passage of scripture, how we can see one another in the humility that he possessed. If we could have that same respect towards one another and the favor that would come upon us as a nation of people. And I yield.
Toda. All right. So would it be fair to say that he was transparent with Yahuah about what he felt his shortcomings were? Yes. He have no problem saying, hey, look, what you asking me to do, I can't do this. He even gave an example, like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to even go out or come back in. Like, even basic stuff I can't do, right? So he didn't try to hide or bear anything away from the Most High. He was 100% transparent with what he could and could not do. In addition to being humble and recognizing, part of that being transparent is recognizing who he was dealing with, right? I'm not dealing with any old people. Like, this is the Most High's people. I'm dealing directly with the Most High. Who, really, I mean, what can you hide from Yahuah? Nothing. So why do we try to do it? So again, just like we can't hide nothing from Yahuah himself, our creator, we are all representatives of him. If the Most High wants us to reconcile with each other, right? And I'm coming to you, not being transparent, but it's the Most High's desire for it to work out, he's going to reveal it to the other person. There's no way it can resolve itself without that happening. So again, you can try to fool him, but you're never going to fool Yahuah. He's going to always know.
I'm looking at this verse and I heard the verse and everything. No matter how old we are or how long we've been in this walk, we should take on that meaner that Shlomo had. Mm-hmm. We don't know nothing. We still learning. And we need to pay attention to this because it takes us a long ways. The Father chose us for some reason.
Absolutely.
We just didn't walk in this and say, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
We was called.
Absolutely.
And we must take this what he's given us and look over ourselves to make sure we following these instructions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So in his request for help, was he thinking only about himself? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So like I mentioned earlier, when we're trying to reconcile with each other, when we're dealing with each other, when we're having these conversations, it's not just about us. There's two people involved. We want to make sure both people get something out of the interaction, right? Both people get healing. Moray, what you got?
Sleeker Moray, could he have been being a little selfish? I mean, because he watched what his father went through, and he watched he watched a lot of people go straight to the wayside. Remember, he's a son, so he was privy to a lot of information that the regular people wasn't. So it gave him a different perspective, at looking at this whole becoming a leader. And, it's like, it is a vulnerability. You can see a vulnerability in accepting that call, because it's like, my dad was a pastor. And my dad used to say all the time, later in years after doing it, you got to be a little crazy to really want to be a pastor or lead people, because of it's not easy. And you see that with a lot of leadership through the scriptures. They kind of was like, do I really want to do this? Okay, Most High, I know you got me, but that's all I'm just saying, bringing out.
He definitely was trying to benefit from it. He wanted to make sure he did a good job, but I believe his heart was in the right place. His heart was for the people. But he definitely was trying to say, Most High, help me. Absolutely. Yeah, he didn't really want the job, but it's him. So, So it pleased Yahuah that Shlomo had asked this, and Yahuah said to him, because you have asked this and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall rise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days. It's the second half of what we looked at earlier, right? He was real, he was transparent, he was vulnerable. And what happened? Yahuah rewarded him. So would Yahuah not reward you for being that same way towards each other? So we all want to think, oh, well, he said that vengeance is mine. He'll take care of me if I'm in a bad spot, right? He's also the rewarder, right? So he's going to have your back. He's going to reward you for approaching your brother and sister with the right heart. All right, so just a few bullet points. So remember that Yahuah's people are his temple on earth. We represent him. When we're dealing with each other, we're dealing with him. We deal with him through each other, right? So how we interact and treat each other is how we're treating him. When I mistreat you, I mistreat him. Plain and simple. When we deal with each other, we should do so with trust, humility, and transparency. And as we learn to let go of the past and trust people, our trust first is placed in Yahuah that he would defend or protect us, right? That goes to what Akuti was saying earlier. It's a process, right? I may not trust you just yet, but I'm going to trust the Yahuah in you, right? Learning to trust people takes time, especially when you've been hurt before. Absolutely. Never will disagree with that. But as I go along that path, I'm trying to get there. Along the way, I'm going to learn to trust Yahuah first and trust the Yahuah in them as I learn to trust people. So when we love ourselves as Yahuah loves us, we put ourselves in a position to be loved by other people, right? Loving yourself does you no good if no one else is there to love you. We're not in this walk alone. We're not meant to be alone. It's not the way he designed it, right? Just a closing verse. I wasn't quite sure where to put this in the lesson, but it did come across, right? And I wanted to share it. So here we go. Proverbs 2:1. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of Yahuah and find the knowledge of Elohim. For Yahuah gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Right? So we want to do things the way he wants us to do it. We want to rely on his wisdom and not our own understanding. And again, look at those words in verse 4. You got to seek and search. It's a hidden treasure. Nothing that we do, we should not walk our days out absent-mindedly. We have to be intentional with what we do. Again, like I mentioned with the example of punching him in the arm, his first reaction, it is what it is. You got no control over that. But what you do afterwards, whether you choose to stay in that spot, is 1,000% up to you. And how do you get out of that spot? You call out for insight. You raise your voice for understanding. And who are you calling out to? You're calling out to Yahuah. Any questions?
Speaker,
Go ahead.
are you going to continue this a wonderful learning. I hope and pray that Abba Yahuah will continue to give you wisdom and guidance so we can continue this wonderful teaching. So I shouldn't ask you if you're going to. So I should just say I pray that Abba Yahuah will continue to guide you, to teach us with this continued process. Hallelujah.
All right, so I will be teaching next week. I'm not quite sure what the lesson is going to be. And I started to share this story earlier when we were giving praise reports, but I'll tell it now. And different people that are actual mores will understand the process and going through. I never want to get up here and represent myself. I believe he's given me the barakah that each lesson I've given has come through him. Everyone that's been up here at some point is like, you know what? I'm going to set apart this day at this time and do this lesson. And you sit there and nothing comes to you. Not a thing, right? So I'm going to be transparent and tell y'all that I didn't finish this until I finished at 1 o'clock this afternoon and started at 8:30 in the morning. No, 7:30 in the morning. So what happened was my daughter, the baby, she had a cough, right? And she's had a cough before. And 3 times, I promise you, 3 times, she would lay in the bed with me and she'd get this cough. I'm trying to go to sleep. I ain't trying to listen to this child cough all night. Most High, the verse we went through the other week, by his stripes she's healed. Please get rid of the cough, right? And within 10 minutes, the cough goes. No more cough the rest of the night. It happened 3 times. This cough she got, it won't go away. Her mom gave her a cough drop at like 6 o'clock in the morning, coughing. And I'm like, I'm not starting this lesson until 9 o'clock. And I'm just laying in bed, listening to her cough. Till finally, I guess I got to just get up and go where I go and start this lesson. So my place where I work is in the garage. She's up. She comes into the garage. How many coughs you think she let out? Not a single cough.
Not one. Hallelujah.
Not one cough. Had I just got my butt up when I first heard the cough and started teaching, it'd have been fine. The whole time she was around me, she didn't cough not one time. Just not one time. So, again, I don't know what Yahuah was going to give me, but whatever you get is going to be what he gave me. So,
hallelujah. Hallelujah. Well, the Father is awesome when he bestows the mores or the sharats with the wisdom or guidance to give us. It's just amazing how he works like that. I want to tell you, Aki, anoint her head with some blessing oil and rub a little on her chest. I was told to tell you that. Hallelujah.
Yeah, Toda, I will do that.
Shlika, Sharat Miyka'al. I appreciate.
I'm old.
I appreciate the humility that you just shown, but I know you, and I know you for a long time.
Oh, we go way back.
Yeah, and it's in you, bro. And it's in you, brother. Aki, so cut it out. The story was cute. Cut it out.
Hey, I'm just saying, man, I did at no point desire to be in front of the room, but like you said, he put it in me, so what he gives to me, I give to y'all.
Bless your soul, Aki.
I love you, Ak.
Love you too, Ak.
All right, that's it for the question. So I yield to Morey Kana.
All right, so all I want to say is everybody understand this lesson, because after Yom Teruah, what's coming up? So this is for the procrastinators, okay? You have to get yourself together before you go into atonement. If you're going to wait to the last second to try to get this thing right with somebody, you already behind the 8 ball. He didn't gave you a whole blueprint that you have to get done first before you attempt this. So I want you to understand how you can't wait to do these things. That's why I said something in the end of July, going into August, about trying to get yourself together now. Now you see how much work it's going to take for you to get to the point where you can go to somebody. It's not just you going to them, and trying to talk this out because you ain't do the stuff that the Father told you to do first. So you may have missed this one. Hopefully you can do it for the next time, but you need to start to understand that as we keep going through year after year, this stuff should already be implemented in you to do. So when we have lessons like these, we can go on to something else. You already know the feast day is coming up. You already know what you got to do. It should be in you by now. I ain't talking about the people who are just coming in, but if you've been here for a while, everybody up here has done a lesson on atonement. And we pretty much gave you the same thing, just a different way. So it goes from this being a rehearsal to you already practicing it. Okay? I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but I just want you to see how important it's starting to get in these last days. It's no longer just a message that you need to hear. It's something that you should be implementing. Okay? Go ahead, Maureen, me that.
Don't worry, Maureen. On this coming Shabbat, I got you on atonement.
Back on. Yeah, hallelujah.
Oh yeah, the room's gonna be silent. Just wait.
Oh man.
I think they need it.
Slika, Amori Lamadyahu, that's going to be on the 22nd, Ken.
This coming Shabbat.
Toda.
His lesson. Yeah.
All right.
No, okay. So announcement for Sukkot is money is due on the 1st. All right. If you're a family, you're going to be there for an entire week. Right? It's $300. If you're just going there for the first and second, the first day and the last day, it's $150. All right. What else you want to say? Oh yeah, for Yom Teruah, if you're not bringing a dish, and if you're not bringing water or ice or anything, it's $20, please. All right. Anything else? Tomorrow evening, starting 5 o'clock.
Shlika, is that going to be recorded or is it going to be live?
Yes.
What time y'all looking to start?
We're gonna start at 5, but we gotta do praise and everything before we get the lesson in.
Toda Rabba.
Anything else? All right. If all hearts and minds are clear. Oh, all right, Lamadyahu. Sharat Lamadyahu.
Shalom, Moria. I'm ready. Baruch Hashem Yahuah Eloheinu melech olam. Todah Rabah Yahuah for this opportunity to gather together one more time, Yahuah. We give you praise, we give you honor and thanksgiving for ears to hear, Yahuah, for understanding, just to be able, Yahuah, to know what you are saying to us in this hour. We ask you, Yahuah, to bless our Sharat, to fill him again, Father, as he's pouring out, as he is in his obedience unto you, Yahuah. We ask that you would bless his household, that you would restore his mind, that you would strengthen him, and that you would give your Melachim charge over his household. We ask, Yahuah, that you would continue to do what you're doing in our lives, as we give you first place, as we give you the control of what's going on around us, because we know, Yahuah, we can do nothing without you. We just give you praise for your mercy and your kindness towards us. As we end this lesson, Yahuah, we still keep in mind that you are truly the one who has kept us, who has been there for us, Yahuah. We will continue to pray for one another and trust you, Yahuah, and trust you in us as you deal with our hearts and our minds throughout our day and our quiet time. Father, we just ask you to have your way and let your perfect will be done in our lives. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we give you praise, honor, and thanksgiving. Toda Reba. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen. Shalom.
I mean, shalom, shalom, Mishpachah.